Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on September the 21st, 2021. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, giving me practical joke ideas,
Caffeine Rage.
On today's show,
Sarah.
we'll of course discuss the games that we have played this week. Valve patents instant play game downloads. Gran Turismo 7's big new campaign will require an internet connection. Sports games add more terrible monetization. We'll have our weekly community corner with a couple of submissions from the community. Activision Blizzard is now a federal case, not just in the state of California. And American and Euro Truck Simulator devs have mastered sim economics. That is the economics of sim games, not sim economics in their games. And if time allows, discovery
those kind of suck.
Indeed, we'll have a Steam discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the notes following their respective topics. Apologies for not having them last week, unless Rage dug through and found them.
No, I did not, because I was setting it up at like 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I had a hell of a week last week. I am done being the interim clinic director, or acting clinic director, whatever. My boss came back, but last week was a doozy trying to do my job and managing the clinic and dealing with a couple of other situations. And so every time I intended to edit the show and do the stuff, I kept getting interrupted. So I didn't wind up editing the show until like Thursday night, and I fell asleep at my desk while I was doing it.
Which is usually what I'm originally posting it. Assuming that I don't screw up and set it up to like 10 p.m. or something.
Yeah. Usually I edit the show Wednesday morning or Wednesday night. I try not to push it until Thursday if I can help it. So, we record on Tuesday. I edit the show on Wednesday, and then it's ready on Thursday. And if there's an issue, you're like, hey, where is it? Or what's going on? And sometimes I accidentally.
Or like you forgot the fucking timestamps again.
Right. But this time I didn't even get the show edited until Thursday night. I woke up, like I was sitting at my desk. I told Katie good night. I was like, all right, I'm going to edit the show, and then I'm coming to bed. And I fell asleep at my desk within like an hour. I woke up and it was like midnight, and like Audacity sitting here. I was like, shit, I got to finish this and then go to bed. So I did. I made it. And then yesterday I kind of just crashed.
I didn't bother trying to dig for timestamps because, like I said, it was within an hour of the show normally going live, so I didn't even bother scheduling. I just posted it.
Yeah. We had a bunch of topics last week. I mean, we've got a decent amount this week, too, but we had more last week. We had, what was it, 7, I think?
8? Something like that. Plus a discovery queue.
Yeah.
So, shall we get right to it?
Yeah, let's get right to it. I'm a sleepy boy tonight, so...
All right, well, I'm still on my coffee, so...
I'm drinking tea, and this tea is caffeinated, but can only get me so far. But what game?
Oh, do I have to send you a book pod or something?
Maybe. I see what game you have played, and I'm sad I did not get to play it this week, but I am excited to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, I imagine you'll probably play it, especially after I talk about it. So, SkateBIRD, kind of the internet's newest little darling, kind of, sorta. It came to Game Pass, and it's a very, very charming game. It has some big flaws. It's not all smooth sailing on it, but it's charming and kind of fun to play. It's kind of my, too long didn't read, even though you're listening to this. So you're playing a bird on a tiny skateboard in a bird-sized skate park made of like bendy straws, cardboard boxes, blankets, that sort of thing. And it actually has a lot more of a story to it than what they originally led on and all the pre-release stuff. Your big friend, your owner, or the bird's just friend. They don't come out and say that this is their pet bird. It's just big friend. Has been feeling depressed. They gave up skating. They hate their job. They hate their life. And Bird has enlisted his bird friends to try to help their big friend feel better and start skating again. And they do it through the power of friendship and rad bird skating. And it's cute. There's just little things like whenever they talk about the tutorial, so many games talk about, okay, now you press this button to do whatever. Well, they talk about that, but then they say, press the kick flick, the jump button in your mind. And just, little things like that. There's a fair amount of humor about it. There's callbacks to the old Tony Hawk games. At the end of the first area, there's only 5 areas, so the game is actually fairly short. You enlist the friend of, you enlist the help of a friend of a friend, who is Anthony Hawk, right?
Yeah.
One of the missions, as you progress through the game, each area you have birds around the open area to talk to start a short mission that's usually sub 2 minutes. And one of them is finding skate letters, but they don't appear until you start the mission. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
They called the soundtrack lo-fi burb hop. So, are you familiar with lo-fi music? Kind of
yes,
slowish with some jazz mixed in, and maybe some sort of like spoken word in the background.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of lo-fi while I do paperwork.
Yeah, when I work and do stuff that I have to focus on, pretty much the same for me. All the original songs are with nature documentaries in the background, so talk about how the heron hunts for fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's just little touches like that, and then as you explore the world, you find mixtapes that unlock licensed music for like indie pop or indie rock bands. And all the different bands have links to wherever they sell their music as well, which is a nice touch that honestly you don't see that often these days.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to their Garage Band or SoundCloud or wherever they're selling their music to be able to check out the rest of their stuff.
Yeah.
Overall, controls are fairly solid. There are some quirks about it. For one, there's the fancy meter. Let's just talk about this right off because it kind of builds into how the game flows. So, as you do tricks and as you run down ramps, you build up your fancy meter, which is essentially how fast your bird is going, but also it changes kind of how they act because as they start to get more fancy, they start bopping their head to the beat and adding like little flares to moves. And for some areas, you have to kind of build up this meter in order to access different areas. So the second area is the roof of the office building where your big friend works. But in order to transition from like one rooftop to the other, you have to have so much of your fancy meter to be able to use the transition button. The transition button in your mind, right?
Yeah.
And without that, you have to, you just can't do it. You have to build it up. And for some missions which require you to transition to different areas, it can be a little bit cumbersome because, it's just, to me, these games have always been about freedom. Approach a particular skate park how you want. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are certain things to do. But at the end of the day, it's what you're up to. This, because of how the skate parks are built, sometimes it feels a little too linear. And maybe it's just because you get locked into a very small area if you're not running it's not even a combo because the fancy is actually isn't tied to the combo meter. The combo is completely separate. And they also throw in a couple extra things that, because you are a bird, there's a couple extra things. So you could squawk to extend a combo one turn or one move.
Yeah.
And you also have the air ollie, which is a double jump. Because you're a bird, you can flap your wings.
That's cute.
So it does offer some additional movement, but everything is really tied to how high you built your fancy meter and just where you go with it. And if you crash out, which honestly isn't that hard, it is a lot more forgiving, and there's a lot of accessibility options. So if you've never played a skateboarding game, you can get fairly far in this by adjusting just how stringent it is on lining up your landings to be able to stick them. I'm trying to think of some of the other settings. I know there's an overall global modifier for how fast or slow the game runs as well. So you can actually crank it up to be a little bit crazy. The game does run quite a bit slower than Tony Hawk. So if you're a veteran of this type of game, you can crank it up to be rather absurd. Although there's really not much of a bonus to it, as far as I could tell. And there's also some rather silly options, like make it so that the burbs talk a little bit more crazily instead of talking like bird or talking like people. They start squawking at one another, or they start talking like skater bros, which is funny.
Can you have squawky skater bro birds?
I'm not sure if you could combine the two. I know that
Boy,
there's
I
a
hope you
toggle,
can.
and it's just adorable. So you could be a little owl with a fez skating around, or a raven with a rockabilly Elvis hairdo. That pompadour, right?
Yes. Love me a pompadour.
Oh, just because it looks like a giant dick, right?
I no, not really. I just have always I get that you're just joking, but I have always liked the pompadour hairstyle.
But there's that. There's quite a bit of adjustment. They have stated that they're fixing a few issues that they didn't really think about before the game launched. One is that the game, in the distance, everything is a bit blurry as a stylistic choice, and they didn't add a toggle to turn that off.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for some maps, it's a lot worse than others. The bedroom where you start off, it's a lot worse than the office building because it's more of a compact space and you can't really see over the distance that well. But for the bedroom where everything is like, you have the floor level, then you have a couple like tables and such that you could deal with. It's very disorienting there. And they're also making it so that the camera behaves a little bit better. There's a few times that if you do something the camera doesn't expect, it could get a little bit confused, or just kind of have to snap back real quick, rather awkwardly. Like I said, it's not without its faults, but it's actually quite a charming little game and well worth playing on Game Pass. I'm not sure about the $20 price tag unless you're really invested into a skating bird game, because it is rather short. I played it for a couple hours just on and off, and I'm already pretty much done on the second map. So yeah.
Gotcha.
But there's also a lot of little references, like you have a kingfisher named Sam, who is an infiltration expert.
Yeah.
And yes, he wears glowy night vision goggles.
Well, of course he has to. Them's the rules.
I was trying to think of some of the other references. It's one of those things that whenever you sit and try to talk about it, it's like, oh, well, the mind goes blank. And I'm going blank right now. Like I said, real well worth at least checking out on Game Pass, and maybe if you could still catch it on sale, even though I think it'll be off sale by the time, or it's launch sale by the time the show goes live. So it'll be up to $20.
So if you don't have Game Pass to play it that way,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it'll cost you.
Yep.
Cool beans.
Oh, and I saw something on the reviews that reminded me of something. So any of the songs that have swear words in it,
Yeah.
uh, the swear words are censored with squawks and chirps. Like there's one song, that's very anti-authority. Your typical kind of indie rock, and talking about how the superstars that said that they were against the man really were the man. It gets rather sweary, and it took me a while to realize why there were so many bird calls in that song. because I was focused on being a SkateBIRD.
A good SkateBIRD.
And I didn't realize until hearing it a couple times that they were censoring it because it kind of fits in, and because part of the combo extension feature that they have where you can just squawk, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that I will say this about the soundtrack: the very beginning is very, very repetitive because part of the unlocks, there's different boards that you could get. As far as I can tell, no real stat changes, just how they look. Clothing, but also another one is mixtapes, and whenever you get a mixtape, you add like between 2 and 4 songs from a particular band. So, strongly suggest hunting out those mixtapes immediately because while I do like the soundtrack, it does get very repetitive at the beginning because, whew. So yeah.
Sweet. Okie dokie. The only new game I played this week, just because of how much stuff I was having to deal with at work. I was coming home, I was being tired, and either playing stuff that I was familiar with, or not even playing games at all if I was just coming in and like crashing after my kid was in bed. I played a game called Will It Crush on phone from the Google Play Store. This is a sort of a clicker style a clicker style, game. But it is a like giant rock crusher wheel. And I mean, the rocks are boxes, and you get different geometric shapes. You start out with just squares, but later on you get triangles and diamonds and
Definitely not graphical intensity, but
no, it's a very simple game, and it's just very soothing to look at and watch it happen. Like whenever you watch I don't know, like kind of some fish swimming, or if you've ever gotten fixated on like a big industrial dryer as it was running, or just something like that, something that's like simple and easy on your eyes, and sometimes you just sit
I was
and
thinking
watch.
about that with a little bit of Will It Blend?
Yeah, and it's just really soothing to watch the giant crusher roller things smash the boxes as they come in, and when they get smashed, they turn into little cubes and drop down to the bottom of the screen, and there's like a little conveyor belt down there, and they get pulled off to the side, and then you get money for them. And of course, you can upgrade your stuff. You can give it more little like crushing spikes. You can make it spin faster. You can give it more torque so that it doesn't slow down as much or at all. If it hits like really big chunks. But it's a clicker game. There's ways to improve and speed up the non-tapping aspect of it. You can tap and it'll spin faster.
Now, does somebody go in manually fixes it whenever it gets jammed and tempt the arm mangler?
No, but that would be great if it did do that. I don't know
like if it gets jammed and you have to poke at it and just blood starts spurting on the screen.
Whoopsie doodle. But yeah, it's it's fun. in a sort of relaxing, like, I'm going to watch some boxes crush. I'm going to tap it a few times, speed it up, and see what my next, like, update is supposed to be.
I mean, it's no space plan, though.
No, it is not a space plan. Not by a long shot. Unless something's going to happen whenever, I don't know, it's lulled me into a sense of security. But I don't think so. It's just a fun little clicker game that is very soothing to watch whenever you're tired or stressed out. So it's it does this sort of standard monetization thing for games of this type. You can buy stuff, like you can buy booster packs, you can buy certain resources. I paid the 99 cents to remove ads, and that way I don't have to, because every time you would level up, because you've got a little level meter, and whenever you raise your level, you get new stuff that you can try out. But every time you level up, and every time you have a bonus pop up on screen, it makes you watch an ad. And so sometimes you can get you could get 4 or 5 ads strung together. And after a couple days of playing this, I'm like, you know what, this is really soothing to watch. I think I want to keep this around. I'm gonna pay for it. And then I went in and I was expecting it to be $2.99 or $4.99, which are not super expensive, but but no, it was free. It's update for free. Okay, I can do that. So that's Will It Crush.
I guess for me, it's kind of like watching the traffic in City Skylines.
Yeah.
Similar kind of vibe. Although probably less stressful whenever it starts backing up for no good reason,
right?
Because somebody had to deliver created donuts and decided to block my main thoroughfare again. Not that I'm bitter or anything about it.
No, it doesn't sound that way. And I mean, on a normal week, I probably wouldn't have talked about this. I probably would have played it and then just let it slide on by. But obviously I'm hurting for new games that I've played, and I did play this past week, and I'm still playing it. So, I mean, I guess I could bore you with infantry tactics in the BattleTech universe, but we'll save that for another day.
Oh yeah, we can't have it all at once,
No. All right, let me get back over here. All right, our first big news story of the week. Valve patents instant play game downloads.
Yeah, so this is not something that they have announced. This is somebody finding a patent that Valve has posted and has been granted, and speculating on exactly what it is and trying to extrapolate on what it could entail. So, yeah, this is not a feature that's coming anytime soon, or possibly ever. But this is them trying to figure out how to make it so that more games could behave like how some console games can, where you download a portion of the game and you could play while the rest downloads in the background. There are some games that does it on PC, but honestly, they're few and far between. So this is server-side stuff that figures out what portions of the game need to be downloaded first and what files need to be accessed by the majority of players in the beginning of the game, so that they can be downloaded first and trick the game into running the rest while it downloads in the background. It's fascinating stuff, but at the same time, with the Steam Deck and everything coming out, it sounds promising, assuming they could get it working right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Assuming they can get it working right.
And supposedly, they could do it, and if it works like the patent, the developers don't really have to do anything to implement it.
Right.
But this is all using the power of the cloud. Woo! Right?
Woo! Magical cloud.
Mm-hmm. Although I gotta admit that the site has more clickbait articles on it than what actually they're talking about of the story. And this is one of the better sites I found that actually talks about this, because it's what is kind of late breaking today.
Yeah. So I guess we'll probably know more in another week or two.
Yeah. Boy, we didn't really have a lot to talk about on that one. It's more just, it's interesting, huh?
Yeah, you were like, it's neat. And I'm like, okay, I'll put it on the list. Next one that interests me a bit, Gran Turismo 7's big new campaign will require an internet connection. So I've talked
Oh,
ad
right.
nauseum, about Forza and Gran Turismo as like the best sort of quote unquote mainstream sim games. And they've had trade-offs on one thing or another where each one is better.
Well,
Uh,
considering Forza 7's going the way of the dodo,
well,
this week?
yeah, well, also Forza 7 turned out to be a piece of shit that didn't get or they were tried to rely way too much on microtransactions and bullshit instead of just being a good
Mhm.
game that people wanted.
Yeah, there was a lot that was just, I have no idea what's going on in this. It just seems like microtransactions all the way down.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I stuck with it, that I would have figured it out, but it's just a lot of stuff like the different mods that would change how the race behaves, which were all consumable, by the way.
Yeah.
And you got in different packs, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth. Of course, you wouldn't know anything about that because you never got the fucking thing to run.
Right.
Not that you're bitter
Um
about that.
no, not in the least bit. Fucking piece of shit. Yeah, so generally speaking, the entire game is going to require an always online internet connection. They say the only part of the game that doesn't require an online connection is arcade mode because it has no effect on save data.
Yeah, but of course they're marketing this as anti-cheat because people's never ever cheated in an online game, right?
No, but not only that, I mean, Gran Turismo, by and large, is a single player experience. It has multiplayer, but generally speaking, it's a single player game. Who I have never understood why anyone cares if you cheat in a single player game. Like, who cares?
Ooh, I know. They do because they won't be able to sell as many microtransactions.
Right.
We have no idea how they're going to monetize it, but if they're locking down single player, right?
Yeah.
Although the article, they seem to miss the point in that last paragraph talking about. I can't even think of the last time I unhooked my PlayStation 5 from the internet. It, it doesn't have to be you. There's so many links in the chain to be broken.
Yeah.
It could be, just shitty connection between you and the in the server, depending on how they even handle this, because it could be, just hey, you online? Yeah. Okay, great. See you. Talk to you tomorrow. Or
Yeah, like a
could be
simple
constant,
check.
or it could be constant talking back and forth, or it could be streaming stuff from the servers to uh, fill out extra game data. We have no idea exactly how they're handling this to begin with because it's just saying an internet connection is required for campaign mode.
Yep.
And no mention of exactly why. Well, or exactly what that is doing, which is, oof, right?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they call it campaign mode, and maybe they have in other games that I just didn't realize, but it's like, it's not really a
I
campaign.
haven't played Gran Turismo in ages, so
Yeah. I mean, all of them are just like, you're a driver doing your team.
getting
Go race
frustrated
good.
at the license challenges
Yes.
because how the hell will I ever use this particular skill set in a race, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's what it was last time I played Gran Turismo. Some stunt driving stuff that I would never use.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
I don't know
it's
if I have anything. The biggest thing that worries me about all of this is it's like always online means for us, not for them. To
yeah.
steal a James Stephanie Sterling quote. That's for us, not for them. And not being able to play your single player Gran Turismo because their servers are offline, bullshit. Terrible.
Or
Hate
or
it.
what about when Gran Turismo 8 comes out and they mothball the servers? Assuming that they don't put out some sort of patch because, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Because there's no promise that they're going to keep these servers up forever. As a matter of fact, it's quite the contrary. You got to imagine that there's going to be a very finite time, especially with a game that has licensed cars. So if they could make it where they could negotiate that the game itself will go offline permanently, they might be able to cut a better deal with some of these cars.
Yeah.
Not to go full tinfoil hatty, but right.
Yeah, no, I understand it.
Yeah, this is not something to be celebrated for. And honestly, the comments on this article, are very upset for good reason.
Yeah. All right. So then that brings us to our next topic, which is sports games add more terrible monetization. So we have two articles talking about new or different monetization that two separate game studios are doing with their sports games.
Two soccer games, mind you, which I think we've kind of made the mistake in the past of really ignoring sports games. I talked about this before the show, but sports games are like the prototype, or where they try out different monetization schemes before they. I don't want to say put it in more mainstream games, because sports games are mainstream as well. It's just its own thing because target audiences. There's not as much cross pollination between a sports game and like a shooter than a shooter and an RPG, right?
Yeah.
But we've definitely seen things pop up in sports games before they've gone elsewhere. So to have two pretty big studios talk about what they're doing in their soccer games, oof. So EA is still being dicks. They're having loot boxes, but they have preview packs, which is something they debuted in last year's FIFA game, where essentially you get a pack and it highlights what's in it, and you can buy in to open it, or just reject it, and it goes and sits on the store for who knows how long, saying they're taunting you with your currency.
Right.
I mean, it's still a slot machine.
Yep. Just because it's a slot machine that you can see what the payout is doesn't mean somebody doesn't still want it.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're still keeping loot boxes is, well, I hate using the term gross, but it fits.
No, it is gross. And I mean,
well, it's been one of those things that people use gross for things that are kind of normal.
Yeah. I mean, Jim Sterling has pushed back against this. They have said many times something along the lines of like, look, game companies will push and push and push, and they will get to the thing that the public outcries against. And then they will go back one level.
Tiny step.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, this thing they were doing, it wasn't so bad. Or this thing they want to do, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Sort of like how they did with the monetization of Battlefront 2.
Yep.
Where they had it where in order to play as Darth Vader, you had to grind, 40, 60 hours?
It was
for one character.
Yeah.
So they stepped back and they got some accolades for it, but the fact that they made it that way in the first place is just incredibly disrespectful to the gamer. I mean, I know. There was a Disney exec with his mouse ears, golden mouse ears, like, oh, we're going to make so much fucking money off this.
Right. But, yeah.
And the other one is Konami, because of course it's Konami, right?
Right. Konami is Konami, and Konami is the fucking worst.
Actually, it's kind of a toss-up. I mean, Konami's not much of a game developer anymore. It's more Pachinko and, it looks like one football game. So I believe this is their free-to-play. Yeah, they're free-to-download, football game that they're releasing. It has a 33-pound premium player pack that gives you a chance deal items that you can't claim until November.
Right.
Mind you, the date is September 21st. So over a month, probably closer to 2. And they don't even say what's in it. They just want you to prepay 33 pounds. It's just, what the hell, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, not surprised. Gonna keep one eye open on this kind of stuff from now on. That way, hopefully, we don't get blindsided by something in the future. Because we've talked about this before, and we've had this sentiment of we don't think about them very much, but they're a huge part of the sales of for their parent companies.
Okay, so the scheduled update is the 11th of November. So a month and a half ish.
Yeah.
You can't use any other currency in the pack till the 18th of November. So an extra week.
Yeah. Why not you pay for loot boxes?
There's one of 16 featured players with an exclusive design. It's just, what the hell? And mind you, this game isn't even out yet.
No, it is not.
And they're talking
you can already
about
pre-order loot boxes, essentially.
And they're talking about how the game is going to be basically a demo when it launches, which means bare bones, but monetized all to hell. Although I do appreciate some of the pride and accomplishment comments in the on this one. I mean, just and I know, us getting kind of bent out of shape over two soccer games as Americans sounds rather silly, and to be honest, it is. But you also have to realize that soccer games outside the U.S., especially in Europe, so fucking popular and so much money made on the microtransactions that it's a good chunk of their yearly revenue. So the fact that they're putting out, and I did the conversion, a $45 pre-order loot box package with a bunch of currency that you can't use for 2 months for a game that's not even out yet. People are going to buy this. They're going to buy a lot more than you or me can't even imagine. And Konami's going to make so much money. They're going to make so much money that Kojima's going to they're going to just forget about Kojima, right?
Right. No, I think you're correct. I think you are correct. They will make enough money to pack it in.
They're going to make all the pachinko machines out of this.
Yeah. Oh, my computer is beeping at me. It's a bling, bling. I'm not clicking on anything. It's mad at me. It's like, hey, where's my loot boxes? Dang it. You'll never get them, my PC. You'll never get them. You won't be as shitty as Konami. You have my word.
I think the 2K sports offering for basketball, 2K22 basketball, on top of having loot boxes, they have add NPCs in their open world player town now. So that's another one to look out for, right?
Yeah.
I kind of skipped over that article like 2 weeks ago before really sitting and having a think about covering really sports titles. Because, like I said, we've ignored this for a long time, and the ramifications have kind of blindsided us a few times. So, really should be paying more attention, huh?
Yeah. And then that's on us for kind of ignoring, like we said, kind of ignoring sports games in the past, just because we don't. I mean, we've said before, stuff along the lines of these aren't our types of games, but they're really popular with people. We just, don't engage with them, so we don't have much to add to the conversation. But it's like, well, yeah, but also they make a lot of money, so they're industry leaders in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. And kind of drive what monetization goes into other games. So, your next big shooter, Call of Duty, whatever. Call of Duty modern bullshit. Oh, wait, they've already used that title.
Modern Warfare Catch 22.
Nah, that's too intelligent for Call of Duty. Call of Duty shooty bang bang. There you go.
Right. Works for me.
Whenever they're developing the game, the marketing suits may look at what the sports games are doing and like, hey, we could use this, and this, and monetization.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is kind of crazy because I do enjoy sports games somewhat, but I haven't touched them in ages outside of skating burbs,
Right.
or other indie offerings because it's just so cancerous.
Yeah. I haven't played a sports game in a long time that I've enjoyed. I have enjoyed them in the past, but it tends to be more of like, well, who am I playing with? Or what is my purpose for playing? Because
Uh, to
many,
throw a dodgeball and hit somebody in the face.
right? That is another excellent sports game.
And that's the thing, is that there are good sports games out there, but whenever people think of the mainstream sports games, it's kind of poisoned the well for really the genre.
Yeah. Trying to think, what was the last sports game I played that I actually enjoyed? I played one of the FIFAs. It's been 5 or 6 years ago. And the reason I enjoyed it was because I was playing with Katie. Until it got to the point where I was just so much better than her at the game. She's like, this is when we first got together. She was like, how are you better at this game than me? You hate soccer. I was like, yes, I hate soccer, but I played video games for like 2 decades.
Or like when Anita and I were at one of our game nights, which we haven't actually had in a while. Should do that sometime. Fired up the RetroPie and was playing Super Mario Brothers 3 together. And mind you, Mario 3 is one of my test beds for an emulator because it's one of those games I know how it's supposed to feel and play. So whenever I'm doing a test, that's a game I'll load up and start playing to get a feel for controls and that sort of thing. And there's quite a few different implementation or ports of it on different Nintendo platforms. So right,
Yeah.
so started playing through, and she hasn't played a platformer like that, especially an old Mario game in ages. If you haven't played the NES era, Mario had a very, very limited moveset.
That's
so
okay.
so I would just go right through a level with very little trouble. And then she would, I think, expect like a wall jump or something because she would play the ones on the 3DS, which has all the advanced move sets and that the old school stuff just doesn't have. As a matter of fact, you don't even start really seeing until like Mario 64, or with a little bit of like Super Mario World, and
Yeah.
started to get frustrated with it. It was more, she's not bad at it. It's just she's not used to this particular game or this old of a game that is almost as old as her. While it's one of my test games. It's one game that I know not inside and out, but I could get pretty far in it without much issue. So yeah,
All right. I don't think I have anything else to add. Do you?
not really outside of fuck EA and Konami,
Right. Fuck them.
which really makes me sad. I used to really like Konami games.
Yeah. And once upon a time, I liked EA games too. Or
Yeah.
EA games that published under EA.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it turns out the Konami code now is swiping your credit card.
Indeed. Faster, in many cases, easier, but not as good.
Well, what are we talking about? Their games or just Metal Gear Survive?
Yes.
So moving along to Community Corner.
Indeed. Let me pull up. I minimize the tab with the show notes in it. Let's see. Our next topic into the community corner. Community corner? Community corner. First up, Activision Blizzard is now a federal case.
Blizzard.
Blizzard. Did I say buzzard? I thought I said blizzard.
Oh, you said like Blizzard.
No.
At least to my ear.
Activision Blizzard.
Oh no, kind of feels like we need a drink with all the court proceedings, huh?
I took a drink, I would just instantly fall asleep.
And throw up.
Not from just one drink. I think one drink would just put me to sleep. But anyways, yes.
So yeah, they're going federal.
Yeah.
And I watched the Hodge Law. Well, I should say listen to, because video that was posted, and grabbed a few extra links to try to make sense of it all, because they're being they're being investigated by the SEC, which is the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which sounds a little odd considering what their shenanigans they've had. Which is, sexism, having their dude bro culture, being general assholes. And the Hodge Law video kind of tears it down into one of two possibilities. One is that they're checking to see if anything else has gone on, just by hearing on the news about it and looking for bad actors on the financial side of things. But the more interesting one is the possibility that this could trigger some sort of insider trading deal. Now, this is still in the infancy of the investigation. They basically just got to the point where, according to everything I've read and understood, they found that there was enough there to start a formal investigation, which allows subpoena powers and to start gathering a proper amount of information to start filing and bring in people to talk to.
Right.
Now, the insider trading possibility of it is a spin-off of the California lawsuit. Basically, saying that they're, according to Hodge Law, assuming I'm understanding this correctly, and there's a high possibility I'm not, because, right, I am not a lawyer. I do not pretend to be one.
You did not stay in a, what is it, Motel 6? Are they the
Holiday
ones with the commercials?
Holiday Inn Express.
Holiday Inn Express. There you go. You did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Or at least not, for a couple of years. But from what I understand is that because they were not upfront with the possibility of their involvements with the state of California and the fallouts from that could trigger some sort of insider trading, because people were moving stocks before they disclosed that there was an investigation going on, before it broke and became, widely known news.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to fuck up, huh?
Yep.
Now, mind you, according to Hodge Law, this is not a huge thing for them, at least not yet. A good majority of these cases either just fade away. There's arbitration, a settlement of some sort, or a fine. A settlement with a hurt party, which would be the shareholders. Or they just decide that there's a case there, but it's not strong enough to go after because they only have so much enforcement. So many people to go after, so they go after the bigger fish. Mind you, this is Activision Blizzard, so there's very few bigger fish out there.
Yeah, there's a few, but not that many. And I was about to make a similar point of, like, on the one hand, it's really exciting and it seems like a big deal, but lots of cases don't make it to actual trial, and even ones that do don't always, end in a victory for, or end in a defeat for the company or the party in question. So, but it is the beginning of something. Like you said, like Activision Blizzard is a big fish. They might pursue this and set to make an example out of them. I kind of hate that the United States does it this way. Yeah. On a bit of a medium-sized tangent, small to medium-sized tangent. I mean, the United States is not the only, but one of the only countries in the world that has decided that we should legislate via court cases as opposed to just having a strong governing body that dictates terms and punishments for these sorts of things, and be it, environmental hazards, poor working conditions, things like insider trading. Like, the United States operates on a lawsuit basis where there has to be an offended party, not always, but generally speaking, there has to be an offended party or offended parties that come together to sue the company into, or bringing some type of lawsuit, not necessarily just suing. It could be other stuff, but bringing some type of lawsuit against a company, and then hoping you get the right verdict, and then hoping that the punitive action is carried out in full instead of being reduced, like how it almost always is.
I mean, hell, that's how the Texas heartbeat abortion ban is operating, is that since there's no state level official working to enforce it because they deputized all the citizens, until very recently, there's been no way to bring it to court. Well, now there's somebody that actively is defying it and triggering lawsuits.
Yeah.
To try to get it struck down. But we're looking at 3 weeks before it even got started.
And I would say, in an equal and fair system, this is probably a better way to do it. But the system is not equal and it is not fair. It's heavily in favor of usually the offended party, or the offending party, being that, the companies in question. They are the ones with the majority power. They are the ones that get to dictate the terms in court, sometimes via, the ability to just have a stronger legal team by having more funds, sometimes by, having legislators be in position to do things for them.
Oh, and don't forget the obvious one is that whenever they do get a fine, it's nowhere near as much as what they made doing whatever.
Yes. I listened to a podcast called You're Wrong About, and they covered the McDonald's coffee, the old lady who spilled coffee in her lap, and like that whole
that one
debacle.
That one's more the media pointing and laughing and not understanding the case.
Yes, absolutely. But at the heart of the case, like, when she took it to court and sued and won the initial settlement, which was, of course, reduced, it was like the amount of money that she got was 2 days worth of coffee sales for McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was nothing. It was so small, like for McDonald's. It's like 2 days worth of coffee sales in whatever it was, the 80s or the 90s. It was like $2 million, not quite $2 million, right around $2 million.
I knew she was originally trying to sue for just medical bill. Sorry.
Yeah, she was just originally suing for her.
Medical bills, because she had third-degree burns.
Yes.
They had the coffee machine turned up so high to try to discourage people from getting refills in the store, even though this was the drive-through. This was, it's still the same coffee machine.
Yeah. It was like, what, 190 degrees or
it was just like that. Boiling.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that, coffee brewed that in hot and held that high heat. James Hoffman would not approve.
No. This was so much for a small or medium-sized tangent. This was in the days before cup holders were common in cars. And so everyone, I love how that company, love in a sarcastic way, how that company, or corporate officials, lawyers and stuff, in order to even seem plausible that they have no idea, like, they have to ignore how human beings behave. It's like you have to willfully ignore normal ass human behavior. It's like, who would take hot coffee in their car without a cup holder? It's like, bitch, people drink coffee in their cars. They've done it since cars were invented. Like, what do you mean, who would drink coffee in their car? Anyways. Yeah, it bothers me.
people have been drinking coffee on the move since before the car was invented.
That's true. Very true. I drink coffee in my car every day. Every day. Well, maybe not Saturday and Sunday, but every day I go to work, I drink coffee in the car. I wonder how much money and like lives cup holders just becoming standard equipment in cars like has saved. Because see, you know, it's not just like hot coffee and lap, you know, spillage issues, but you know, you try to like you hit a bump or something, and you like go to grab your coffee in the seat or whatever, so it doesn't fall over, and then you wind up crashing. It's like now it's just in the cup holder now, like it might spill a little bit, but that's okay.
Never mind the
That up
fact
later.
that travel mugs have gotten so much better, right?
Indeed. I dumped today on my way home from work. I had Diet Coke in my cup instead of coffee in my little travel mug. I turned it upside down by accident. Didn't spill a drop. It's just like, beautiful. That's why I love you.
Yeah, mine. I usually use it on Sundays when Annie and I go to the grocery store, and I need my go juice to be able to function. Got home and set the coffee down and knocked it off, and the lid wasn't completely seated on the little flap.
Yeah,
and it spilled like a teaspoon of coffee.
Nice. Yeah, invest in a good travel mug. Mine keeps beverages piping hot or freezing cold for hours, depending on what you're doing with it, and is very spill resistant. I won't say spill proof, but spill resistant.
How even my normal coffee mug is a set of travel mugs, even though they're more the mug shape than my big gotta go get some food travel mug.
Yeah. So
hell, just the last little sip of coffee I had out of this thing, it was still pretty damn hot, and I made it 3.5, almost 4 hours ago.
Yeah. Good travel mugs. Worth the investment. Also, Blizzard, Activision. Fuck them. I hope they lose in federal court. I hope they lose in all the courts. I hope that company is buried.
Although, according to everything I've read, the federal court case, not nearly as big a deal as the one against them in California.
Yeah, I suspect California would be way harsher on them.
Even though it sounds, like, oh no, they have a federal lawsuit against them now, or a federal investigation. It's a very limited thing on a very particular subject. California could throw the book at them.
Yeah. And I hope they throw all the books at them, both literally and legally. Fuck Blizzard, fuck Activision, fuck Bobby Kotick, not literally.
Well, maybe if you had enough booze in you.
I mean, let's be real. If he paid me enough money, I'd fuck him.
What if it's a loot box?
No. I would tell him, okay, if you want to pay me, with a loot box that may contain money, I'll fuck you with a gun that may contain bullets.
Well, that got dark.
Indeed. It did. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, you are in the South.
I am in the South. I'm a gun-toting liberal, bitch. Come at me, bro. Do the kids these days still say that? Fight me.
I don't know. According to Anita, they're being little assholes, stealing shit.
Kids are always little assholes.
Yeah, but now they have the TikToks.
That is true.
And what's worse is that since she has middle school, it's right that age where they're extremely dumb.
Dumber.
Yeah, and also starting to get in social media and being just right. I'm so glad we didn't have social media when we were kids.
Jesus Christ, yes. Oh, God. I would have been so screwed with social media as a kid. Social media was around when I was in middle school and until I got to college. And even then, I just barely used it.
Yeah, but now you're on there all the time, upsetting the conservatives, right?
Posting my spicy memes with conservative tears.
Oh,
But okay. Uh yes. What's next? American and Euro Truck Simulator. Yes. A thing about a game. Um American and Euro Truck Simulator 2 devs have mastered sim economics. The way the headline is written, as we implied during the opening reading the topics, makes it seem like they have mastered their in-game sim economics. But no, the economics of selling and managing and maintaining simulator
yeah,
games.
because honestly, the in-game economics kind of suck.
Yeah, I mean they're serviceable, they're passable. Mods do it better, but
Uh, of course.
as they often do. But I mean they work, you know, they get the job done, I guess is best way
But
to
this
say
is
it.
talking more about selling a very good, well polished, but well, I shouldn't even say small, but semi small uh, base game, and then iterating on that while still maintaining the original base game. So going back every so often, especially for Euro Truck, which is the older of the two, and
Yeah.
refurbishing the original maps, adding features, and just kind of polishing things
Yeah.
while still putting out quality map packs, but also keeping the prices down. So the base game goes sub $5 regularly, and map packs often go below 10 and don't even really launch above 20, I believe. Could be mistaken on that one though.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. And I mean, really what they're saying is that just have a business practice or just sell things to people in a way that doesn't try to steal money from them.
Honestly, I would say SnowRunner's also doing something very similar,
Yeah.
where the base game is very polished and feels complete, but it has a large amount of maps and stuff in the DLC that they either you get the pass and get it in doses or buy it piecemeal
Yeah.
at a pretty cheap price overall.
Yeah. Um
Yeah, I'm just checking the price of. So Wyoming, I think, just came out, and that is $12. Texas is going to be an interesting one. That's the next one.
yeah,
Obviously American Truck Sim.
right. But I mean, I can, I agree. I think that they have done it pretty solidly so far. Like you said, polished base game. Um, the DLCs that they put out, like the big ones, their content expansions feel worth the money. They add new features as they go along. They've got their smaller sort of cosmetic DLCs to earn some extra cash for them, which you know the it's just cosmetics argument and whatnot, like fair play, but it they're not loot boxes. You can see and get what you
And
want.
it's a single player focused game. Although
Yeah,
they did just release a multiplayer in American Truck Simulator.
right. When before multiplayer was only accessible via a mod.
Yeah, although I don't see them talking about one of the major points on this, the events.
I was literally about to bring that up. I was like, one thing that they didn't mention though that helps is that they do their events. Some of them connected to real world stuff, some of them,
Just holidays.
yeah, just
Like
holidays or other.
hauling different trucks full of gifts and stuff around the map. The big surf event in American Truck Sim, where you're hauling stuff and trying to reopen a road that was closed in real life due to a landslide, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And whenever there's something that's big that happens in the real world, they'll sometimes reflect it in game, like Big Surf, where they closed a section of road in the game to mirror real life.
Yeah. And while it certainly there was some complications with the way that they handled it, they did a thing for COVID. with vaccines, transporting COVID vaccines around.
Which is something that gives more than just, it's a trucking game. No, there's a bit more to it. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, yes, it is a trucking game, but also, yes, there is more to it. It's neat.
And never mind the community that pops up around it. I mean, just take a look at some of the screenshots, some of the truck shots, landscapes. And it's, for a simulator game, it's actually very pretty. There's kind of a thing with simulator games where they focus more on the technical side of things, and the graphics are very mundane or very basic, but they go all out to make the game pretty.
Yeah.
It's very tough to run the game at that level, but it is possible. And honestly, if the game was, looked like it came, or I should say, looked like it still did when it came out, which sounds like a backhanded compliment, but they have gone through and really renovated the graphics. I don't think it'd be as popular as it is now because, you can only drive through a mundane landscape for so long, unless you're on a charity stream.
Yeah. I've said a couple of times here recently, at least to you. I don't remember if I've said it on the show or not, but I do really want to go back and play some more, and I just don't. Like SnowRunner, I've been playing SnowRunner a shitload. Whenever I have been, wanting to do some trucking. But I mean, a couple of years ago, I played Euro and American Truck Simulator a lot and listened to podcasts and audiobooks, and I will be doing that again eventually. It'll happen, and I'll buy the DLCs that have came out since I played, and they'll be on sale, and I'll buy them, and I'll go back to trucking around.
Mm-hmm. Maybe not grab all the map packs, but grab a good chunk of them.
Yeah. I'll probably start over too. Like I've got, save games with stuff, but I probably just start over.
Although there is a kind of a difference between American Truck Sim and Euro Truck Sim on how they handle their map packs. American Truck Sim, it tends to be state specific. So, Idaho, Utah, Washington, New Mexico, that sort of thing. But then you go to Euro Truck and it's by region, which makes sense because, areas, but, a smaller map overall if you go by country.
Yeah.
Mostly. I mean, there are, some map packs that were focused on a very particular country, but they tend to go more by regions, which it's kind of just the way the geography of the U.S. versus Europe, where an individual DLC might have very different geography, just because the states are very varied on just how they look, especially in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I really wanted to get to the Southeast in America, just since that's my region. I'd like to drive around Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi. All states that I have traveled extensively.
I think once they get to the Northeast, they're going to abandon the state piecemeal DLC and start going by groups, because some of these states are way too small, especially with the scale of the game. I mean, the Rhode Island DLC will be like a city. Right?
Yeah.
Or how Maryland would be an interesting one just because of how it's shaped. So I definitely see them eventually starting to lump states together into possibly regions or just multi-state packs.
Yeah.
But they're still, they're just barely getting to the Midwest. So, we're probably looking at another good 3 or 4 years before they even start approaching the East Coast.
Yeah, that's okay, though. I'll wait. I'm okay to wait.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is it for the Community Corner. If you wish to contribute, you can do so VGLpodcast@gmail.com, VGL Podcast on the Twitter, or drop by the Discord, which you can find a link to that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com.
Indeed.
So you awakened up for a doobly-doo?
I think so. We'll give it a shot. If I fall asleep, just I don't know, call me repeatedly until I wake up. My phone is not on silent.
Okay. So, since we were talking about a simulator, how about a simulator? Potion Craft Alchemist Simulator. This just went into early access today, I believe. And you are an alchemist in kind of, fantasy medieval Europe, that random section of Great Britain that fantasy seems to always be in. And you are an alchemist making potions to sell to people with a little bit of like gardening simulator in it, some visual novel stuff, haggling. The alchemy side of things sounds interesting, where there's like a map of different effects and you can plot out how you brew the potion to get different effects.
Yeah.
So you can kind of combine and figure out where you want to take a particular potion for a client.
Yeah.
But also save the recipe so you don't have to do it every single time and just have to follow your recipe. It sounds very interesting. It's, like I said, early access just came out. Yeah, it came out today, and they are expecting a... Well, they're not even giving a full a time frame. They're just saying periodic updates.
Right.
So, yeah.
Speaking of simulator games, I got Gas Station Simulator.
I've seen that pop up a couple times.
Buy an abandoned gas station and restore it to its full glory. Renovate, upgrade, and expand upon the offered services to keep up with client demands. It's got a 1950s, like Midwestern, like maybe like, Route 66 sort of a vibe to it. It just looks like a number of these other simulator games.
This is not their first time. They have a few of these.
Oh yeah, right here on the one of the videos somewhere. One of the trailers, somewhere off of Route 66. I kind of really like this. I don't know what it is about like a rustic gas station with like, 1950s and 60s themed cars and furniture and whatnot, but kind of really like it. Oh, and an Airstream trailer. Neat. I like how that they're doing their announcements as like pinup girls. That's also very cool. Yeah, I like it. It could be total hot garbage. I don't know, but I like it. It's like $20.
So, World War Z Aftermath. Very, very mixed reviews. It looks like it's mostly due to no Australian servers. Which is oof, right?
Yeah.
So, a co-op zombie shooter. I think sort of like Left 4 Dead, from what I can tell. Only with more of the horde mode active. It sounds interesting, but however, mixed reviews, some regional server issues, and it does sound like this is kind of a rehash of a previously released game. So, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, I think it's more of a buyer beware at this point than anything.
Yeah. I got Scrapknot, co-op or single player, top-down base building and survival game. It kind of looks like a cutesy, one of these, factory, Factorio-esque type games. But it's take care of, survival. So food, water, health, build your stuff, research, generate electricity, explore the map. But it's got a neat sort of, I don't want to say steampunk. That's the wrong kind of, maybe it is steampunk. I don't think that's steampunk aesthetic, but it does look neat. I like the look of it, and I love myself a simulator game.
I would call that kind of steampunkish.
Kind of steampunkish, yeah.
I mean, it
But
doesn't go full on in, but it definitely has kind of the, that base to it.
yeah, it's on sale for 30% off right now. It's got mostly positive reviews overall. So, seems neat.
Okay, well, I was spending a little bit of time with this one because, right? So,
Yeah.
Sheltered 2. This is a sequel to Sheltered. I'm gonna have to. Oh, damn! I didn't copy the title. There we go. And go ahead and clean my links a little bit because, right?
Yeah.
So, Sheltered 2, building essentially a Fallout shelter, ask a survival game where you're managing a group of survivors from some sort of post-apocalyptic thing. It looks like zombies from some of the screenshots, but not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Some mixed reviews saying that the interface is a bit clunky. They changed it where it's more 3D than the original, but people are saying that the first one's better, and the developer's getting a little salty on some of these reviews. Played it for an hour and think the original one's better.
Yeah.
And the developer took umbrage with that because, right? I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but at the same time, if the first one's better, can't really go against that one, huh?
Yeah. So I got Plague Tale Requiem, the sequel to Plague Tale Innocence. I mean, the first Plague Tale was very dark, very, very atmospheric, very sort of broody. Tried to do a couple of big things with its story. Interesting. Overall, I think it broke in some ways. Like if you broke the illusion that it was, breaking the tension, that it wasn't actually as sort of pressing and action oriented. It was a lot of set pieces, but it told a really good, interesting story about a couple of kids just trying to survive this really weird like rat plague. So hopefully the sequel can do, I don't want to say something similar, but just similar in the sense of like it can pull off a good story. Not a lot. This has got a release. Looks like it's hit early for pre-order. Wish listing and pre-ordering. Looks like it's supposed to release in 2022. So actually that's not that far away anymore. Never mind.
Yeah, but it's autumn almost.
Yeah. It looks a lot, at least in the screenshots that they're showing, it looks a lot brighter than a Plague Tale Innocence did. There were certainly moments of like daylight and sunlight in the first game, but generally speaking, it was very dark, very sort of broody, gloomy, gothic atmosphere, and this looks more, bright and illuminated. So who knows how this will actually turn out. But I hope it's good. The first one was good, so I hope this one's good.
Okay, so I got Tales of Iron. This is where you play as a mouse on a platformer / action RPG. It looks very interesting. It feels a little bit Metroidvania-ish, unless I'm mistaken, though. I don't think it is. People are calling it a Souls-like, though, which, no. I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
That's another one of those tags that I absolutely despise seeing on a game because 9 times out of 10, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Just because a game's difficult doesn't make it a Souls-like. Sort of like how a roguelike isn't because it has some sort of procedural generation. So, yeah. Since I went off on a tangent. It does look like it has some pretty brutal combat, at least from the screenshots and the trailers. With some crafting and reforging of weapons. And yeah, it has a very striking just art style to it that uh, the screenshots don't do it justice. You really need to look at the trailer in order to get a feel for how it moves. Yeah, that's one I'm probably going to pick up sooner or later. Not sure if I want to buy it at $22 though, because that's starting to get a little bit out of the impulse buy.
Right.
That's just because I'm a cheap bastard.
That is okay and understandable. Okay. I got The Magister, a murder mystery card battle RPG.
I do want to throw some more buzzwords in. I do want to use social deduction as well.
Absolutely. Let's see. Build and customize your deck to fight in battles, or use, quote, tactical diplomacy to pacify those who stand in your way. Gather clues and discover motives as you investigate the death of your predecessor and unmask the guilty culprit. I mean, it looks neat. It's got a very broody, sort of gothic horror art style, giving me some sort of like Darkest Dungeon Cthulhu vibes. And who it might turn out to have some of that stuff in there. But this looks neat. It looks like they have smashed together some concepts that don't normally go together. I mean, one of these might exist somewhere and I'm not aware of it. This is the first time I've ever seen this specific combination of game ideas. So,
especially for a detective title.
Yeah.
The question is it all set mysteries, or can you have some sort of procedural generation? Because that's something we've talked about on like Pitch a Game ages ago, with a detective game with proper procedural generation. So you have to figure out what's going on, and you just don't learn it all.
Yeah.
So I got Agarami 2. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation of that, but a third-person stealth game where you play as an assassin with the power to control shadows. Ooh.
Fancy.
It looks like it's a lot more focused on combat this time around, though, based on some of the reviews, where the first one was more of a stealth game. This one's more, the top review. It's still a stealth mission if there's no witnesses.
Touche.
Looks like up to 3-player co-op, though, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah. So,
not my thing, but someone out there might like it.
Yeah. I got City of Gangsters, management tycoon game where you're a criminal organization in the 1920s and 30s. Build speakeasies, distilleries, manage production chains, smuggle goods, bribe the police. My kind of game. A mob management game.
Is this the one I played on Game Pass? I think this one's a different one. I played the latest, I think it was Paradox offering, and it was kind of underwhelming. Hopefully this one's better, right?
Yeah.
So I got I Am Fish.
What? I Am Fish?
Yeah. This is from the same developer that did I Am Bread, a physics platformer. I played a bit of this. I haven't played enough to talk about it in games we played. I need to go play another level or two of it. It's a very, very short game. And it's basically the end sequence of Finding Nemo as a physics-based platformer. So you go through different containers and such as a fish, and you're nudging and rolling them around. You start off in like this incredibly small fish bowl that just happens to have a sealable lid on it, and you're rolling it around like it's a hamster ball. And the entire premise is you're trying to reunite with your 4 friends that has different powers, at least according to the screenshots, because I haven't actually gotten to those yet. It is cute. It's very funny. But it's one of these games where it's the game has intentionally bad controls or intentionally twitchy controls, and there's a lot of times that no idea what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. And there's really no clue on what you're supposed to do. There are options to just skip ahead if you have trouble in an area. But, it's already a short game, so skipping ahead, right?
Yeah.
I'll talk about it more in probably a week or two, because we do have Game Club next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say try it on Game Pass. Do not buy it for $20. 15 is already pushing it, and that's the sale price till the end of the month. But that's just my opinion on that one. This is the same developer that did Surgeon Simulator. Right? That should give you an idea of things, huh?
Yeah. Okay. I got Beyond Contact, a isometric sci-fi survival crafting game, with a cute art style. Like, sci-fi survival crafting. I'm in. That's probably all you need to know. Actually, is it co-op? It does have cooperative play, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this one. Hang on.
Oh, that's a porn game.
Well, it's been a while since you got those.
It has been a while since I've had a porn game. That's my last one too. I had a couple others that I skipped past because you had them already.
Yeah, like I got Gas Station Simulator. So I got Severed Steel, a stylish first-person FPS featuring a fluid stunt system, destructible voxel environments, loads of bullet time, and a unique one-armed protagonist. Oh, and a dark electronic soundtrack, because of course. I mean, it looks sort of like an upgraded version of Super Hot.
Yeah.
Only with some sort of overarching progression system and maybe some procedural generation going on. With a bunch of fully destructible environments as well. Although they are touting a really good AI, so we'd see about that one, right?
Yeah.
Looks like there's a campaign mode with 6 story chapters. It is not an early access game, so there is that. And it looks like this is their first game, at least on Steam, so... I mean, it is impressive looking. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, continuing on. And now for something completely different. Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. Story of Seasons, also known as Harvest Moon. There's just something about the graphics of Story of Seasons. It looks so much like a mobile game these days. Maybe it's just the art style, not aging that well, or keeping that particular style. I don't know where it is. I just have this weird disconnect with it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of DLC for this. And that's... I mean, they have an expansion pack and all sorts of cosmetic DLC for a game that just came out, right?
Yeah.
Although it looks like this one actually has some good reviews. Story Seasons have really been hurting lately, so to see one that actually seems like it's halfway decent, it's a nice change of pace. Although I do agree with this one. Much rather see Rune Factory.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know, Story Seasons / Harvest Moon. If you played Stardew Valley, it's basically the same premise. You get a farm, build it up, fix it up, make connections with the town, meet someone, marry them, have a kid that does absolutely nothing on the farm because it's not programmed that far ahead. I still think unless Story of Seasons does something very different, Stardew Valley it has a more connected feel because everybody has some sort of story going on. While essentially the love interests are the ones that always had something going on, at least in the old Harvest Moons games. I haven't played one in ages, though, so I could be mistaken on that one. So, surprised I actually haven't had this one, or you haven't in the Discovery Queue. Destroy All Humans! I talked about this a while back. To me, it hasn't aged all that well, but it's also a lot more stealth missions than what you would expect, and a lot more have to follow exactly what the game says, at least in the early game. And just I found it frustrating. But if you are a fan of the original, well, this is the remaster, and the sequel of it has already been leaked / confirmed, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
So hey, you got more Destroy All Humans coming up. Hey, how about something that we haven't seen before? A sci-fi based survival game.
Hey, never see that.
Where you're on a hostile world that's trying to kill you.
What? That's crazy. That never happens.
This looks like this one has a bit more of a crafting component with more of a farming aspect to it, at least from the screenshots. Early access, so yeah, long ways to go till see exactly where they're going with this, assuming that they actually reach the end of the road, because there's always that danger with these.
Right.
It is on your wish list, so that I know that doesn't really mean much. Sorry. It's Beyond Contact, by the way. I don't think I actually said the name of it.
Wait, isn't that the one that I...
Yeah,
that's the one that I said a minute ago.
I must have blanked out.
That's okay.
It was so generic. It's just, right.
Yeah. Nope, that is fair.
And my last one was FIFA 22 because it hurt us talking about it. Do not buy FIFA.
No, don't do that.
Just skip a year on your sports games. Go play the football somewhere else. Man, that was the end of my queue.
Sweet. Well,
yeah, I guess I just saw another sci-fi survival game. It's just, right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really talk all that much about it. I was like, another sci-fi survival game.
I think I was in the middle of trying to figure out, Severed Steel, I think it was. Or whatever one I talked about afterwards, because there was a couple that I had to look at it a bit. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
So, socials?
Right. Hey, Rage, why don't you hit him with the socials?
Oh, I've been Caffeine Rage. You can find me on Twitter, Gaming with CR, or you can be my friend over on Steam, Caffeine Rage. And you've been?
Gaming Psychologist. You can find me on the YouTube by searching for that. On Twitter at JMA4707. Find me on Twitch, still playing the shittiest vampire in my Vampire the Masquerade game. We do that over on twitch.tv/Runic Arts. The biggest asshole, for sure. In our most recent session, I successfully... I mean, the players knew, but their characters didn't. So I successfully lied to a bunch of characters to double dip on a deal to score human organs and blood, so that my character can level up more. Because we're using a custom rule where in order to get bonus experience, you can do extra feedings. So my dude eats people.
Also, he's going to be like you and fat.
Yeah. But my dude eats people. So I lied to some players. I double dipped on a deal I was trying to broker to where each player is going to be searching for me to have, or searching for me like cadavers and bringing me humans that are like criminals or whatever to kill. That's great. But they're like, God, you're a bastard. And I'm like, I know, right? And it's like our two characters, like in character, if we play them, like they're never going to ask each other about this. I was like, I know. I am a smart boy who is good at manipulating people. Silence.
Yeah, it's just silence.
Yeah.
Because no fucking comment.
Yep. I mean, that's literally like being a good therapist means you're good at manipulating people. Just you use your superpower for good instead of evil. So every day I talk to people all day and work to convince them to change their lives for the better. Generally speaking, I'm pretty good at it.
And sometimes you have a pancreas.
Yes. Sometimes I eat a pancreas. Dude, for real, if eating a pancreas would fix my diabetes, bet your ass I'd be eating a pancreas.
Yeah, but see, you have to harvest it yourself.
That's fine. Some cadaver somewhere doesn't need that pancreas anymore.
I'm sure there's a few anti-vaxxers that you could talk about.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what if I get the COVIDs from eating an anti-vax pancreas? I don't want that. I don't know if that's possible. They're not doing tests on people eating human flesh and what that does to them.
Well, look at it
Anyways,
this way. You won't have to worry about catching stupid from them.
that is true,
I was pretty sure that one's genetic.
right?
And we all know it's the COVID shot that changes your DNA, not eating people.
Right. But yeah, did I say all my things? YouTube, Twitter, Twitch,
I don't think so.
Twitch,
Tell them anyway.
Twitch at JMA4707, or not Twitch, Twitter at JMA4707. You see me shit post. Come to the Discord. Be my friend, JArthur4707. Also on Steam.
Yeah, we're starting to get tired, a little punch drunk, I think.
Absolutely. I've been tired for 2 hours. I stood up for a little while. I adjusted my mic and stood up. That helped. Anyways.
No comment. Anyway, if you wish to contact us, once again, vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, game-related topics, tweet them, vglpodcast, or drop by the Discord, which you can find at vglpodcast.podbean.com with the show notes, the RSS feed, if you wish to share the love. Or you can find us on your podcatcher of choice. Our lovely, lovely patrons have made this band as possible. You can find that over at patreon.com/vglpodcast. Our intro to outro music is On the Ground by Kim McLeod, and our Discovery Key music is Doubly Due by the same artist. You can find his work over at incompetech.com, and as always,
as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.